Hi everyone, you're probably wondering what in the world is she doing today? Now, you're used to seeing me with these kinds of skins, the two-dimensional kind. You tend to have these when you're a pour painter. This one was made when I didn't like the pour that I was doing, and I just put it on a silicone mat and I peel it off. So this is just Floetrol and acrylic paint. And if you haven't seen how to make the skins, then please check out my video on how to make acrylic skins or any of the acrylic skin projects that I've made. I tend to make lots of acrylic skin projects and I bring you along for my craziness. Anyway, so yes, you can make these skins, but did you know you can also make skins that look like these or these or leaves. I don't know if you can see this on my dark glove. And even really sweet, delicate skins like these. So you can make all kinds of skins. I'm going to show you how to make these kinds of skins. To make these kinds of skins, you're going to use your pour paint like you normally would. These are just Floetrol, water, and acrylic paint. Mainly mine are Liquitex, but you know what? This is when you can pull out the craft paints that you have and use these as well. You just won't need as much Floetrol or as much water. These are about 3-to-1, where your craft paints are about 2-to-1. Just depends the kind of mix you want. And it's okay to have really thin paint. That's going to give it the delicateness. Now, could you just use your acrylic paint like this? Or straight out of the bottle? You could, but you're going to get a different kind of skin for the application that I'm going to be using. I want something that looks almost real. I want it to be very delicate. To do these skins, you are going to need your Floetrol, so pull out your flood Floetrol, and you can thin it with water because the evaporation is going to cause some of the delicateness of these skins. So in order to make these kinds of skin, we are going to be using molds. We are going to be molding them. These are actually sugar molds or fondant molds that you can buy. These came from Amazon. But any kind of silicone mold, you can make your own molds, and I may be doing a video about that here a little bit later, but I'm just going to use these molds to mold my pour paint, specifically pour paint. If you just use plain old acrylic paint, you can do it. It's going to give you a very shiny, hard, not as realistic kind of piece that comes out of your mold. To get these delicate pieces, we're going to take our pour paint and we're going to layer it. Now, to do the simplistic ones, I'm just going to take some brown pour paint, and all you have to do is apply that to your mold and let it dry. Okay. I am going to make a bi-colored. I'm also going to show you what to do with your butterflies. To do this, all you have to do is pour your paint into the mold. Now there are a couple little tricks I want to share with you. Okay, this seems like it really is easy, and in a way it is. Okay, you do want to make sure that you don't have bubbles, and you want to make sure that you completely cover your mold. Okay, and you may have to add paint to level them off after they have dried, and it does take several days for these to dry. If you're not careful, your flowers, whatever you're molding, are going to be either extra delicate or they're going to have holes in them. Now sometimes that's pretty cool. It looks like bug holes. So if you don't want your leaves to look like they've got eaten by bugs, which has its own charm, then you need to be careful, and you may have to go back in and add paint after it's dried to see how it dries. Because there's water in Floetrol, there is evaporation that happens, and so you sometimes have to add extra paint to them. That's just a little trick there. But all in all, it's really pretty easy. So this will only take me a minute, and then I'm going to show you what happens. I'm just filling in the centers. Flowers are really, really simple. So this is one of my favorite colors. This is actually a craft paint. It's very thin, works beautifully. It's a black light paint, and it works beautifully to make flowers. You may want to take your kitchen torch and make sure there's no bubbles. This is going to help it settle and make it where you don't have lots of holes in your skins. We make these because they're great embellishments. They're great to add to things, great to put into resin molds, whatever you want to put them in. And they're super fun to make. So moving on from the flowers, you can also do leaves. Leaves are super simple to do. All you have to do, if you just want a simple leaf, is just add it to your mold. Now, if you want to add veining to your leaves, you absolutely can. You're just going to need a paintbrush, and you're going to need a contrasting color of paint. This doesn't matter whether it's acrylic straight from the tube or another kind of pour paint. Depends on the look you're wanting to go for. All you have to do is go over this. Just layer the paint on top of the silicone mold, just like you would if you were doing chocolate. You use different colors of chocolate to do this. You can do it the same way with this. You can also do it the same way you would do fondant if you're making things for cakes. If you're not into baking, this might be a new idea for you. The same being said, you can take a little bit of pour paint. This is just my 24 karat gold. I'm just gonna put a dot there. And if I want a highlight of gold, and I can paint these after the fact. Oops, got a little bit of gold in there. It will not matter in the least. So if you want to, you can just cover the outside, or you can actually go back after you're done, like with ones like this, and you can go over the top just like that. So if you want to add some sparkle, you're doing something for Christmas, these would be great to make little wreaths, then you can go back over them just like that. So when you're done doing whatever highlight you want to, or any kind of detail, you can just fill it in like that. This is one of my favorite molds. Some really cool ones come out of this. I can't help it. I love doing these. I love doing these. It's kind of addictive, and you're like, oh, let's see if it's going to turn out. It's very fun and addictive to do this. I'm going to do a lavender one. Okay. Now this is a little rose mold here, and these take a lot more paint, but I'm just going to do this one, and it's the same thing. You can just pour your pour paint in there, let it mound up, get out all of the bubbles, and you're good to go. It's just that simple. Now the butterflies, if you've seen this, I've got several butterflies here. I've got an orange one, and then my little teeny tiny one. For the butterflies, I usually do add an accent color in here. So what I'm going to do for this, black works great, but I'm just going to add a tiny bit of brown. And I'm going to do my body as brown. Okay. I'm just going to take my brush, and I'm going to do a highlight. That's just going to give whatever color I put on there, it's going to show the veins the brown color. And I'm even going to take just a little bit of my 24 karat gold, move my paint out of the way, and do the same thing. Just do a highlight of the color. Okay. Once I do that, I can just take whatever color I want to make my butterfly and just fill it in. It's just that simple. In just a second, we're going to do my favorite thing, which is to unmold these. It's very addictive to take them out of the mold and see what you get. It's like Christmas every time. So I will show you what we get. You saw how easy it was, and I'll show you what the product is when we're done. Okay, it's been a couple of days. These have dried. I've gone back and filled in with some paint. If you can see right here, I did not fill this one in. So you can see that the paint, sometimes it leaves little weak places. So if you don't watch these and go back and put a little extra paint over the top of them, then you will have holes in your skins when you take them out of the molds. But this is the fun part. This is the unveiling. So you can see here I've done quite a few leaves, and this one's not completely filled in. And what will happen is you'll have little bug bites. It's hard to see. This one's really tiny, but you can see how easy they just pop right out of these little silicone molds. It'll have little holes in it. But in general, you will have a nice product when you take it out of the mold. Okay. Here I've added some variation for this one, and you can see what you have. And I will just put that down. You really can't see on this black mat really well, but I'm going to put it right back down on my pink. And I am going to do some flowers first. We'll hold on to our butterflies. The flowers are kind of fun. They just pop right out. And there we are. You have these great little flowers that you can use for all kinds of projects, and they're not really flimsy. This one's not very flimsy at all. It really just depends on your flowers and your molds, and you can just pop those right out. This one's not perfect in the center, but that's okay. And this one's not totally completely dry. They will sometimes dry. Some will dry faster than others, just depending on your paint. But it did come out. We'll just let it dry on its own. And we'll take this one out too. Let's see if it's dry. Here we go. Look at that. Completely dry. And you just get this really very delicate flower that looks a lot like a dried flower. Okay. Put this one down too. And I'll take out a couple more if they're dry. And it is. If you have a little overfill, which sometimes you do, you can just take your scissors, or you can be very gently and remove them. This one needs a little scissor cut up right here. So you can just take some scissors and cut them. That's the great thing about skins. Okay. So there are some flowers. Awesome. I love taking these out of the molds because it's so much fun to see what you're going to come out with. There we go. That one's not very pretty. Some of them turn out great, some of them don't turn out so great. I'll go ahead and take the rose out. I don't think, we'll see. Let's go ahead and take one of these roses out. Not too bad, but not too great either. So sometimes they turn out nicely, and sometimes they don't. Okay, so here's the fun ones. These are the butterflies. Let's go ahead and just try to get the large one out, provided that it's dry, and it looks like it is. Okay, there it is. There's the butterfly. Very pretty. Let's see if we can get the blue one out, provided that it's dry. Oh yeah, there we go. Very delicate. The wings are not perfect on this one. Okay, these need extra paint in them, but there we go. It really is that easy to make these beautiful flowers, and then you can make some really awesome projects with these. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Thanks for watching. Until next time, bye now.